Alright, tonight we're going to be playing a game of Aeon's End. Brama and Gex are going to face off against Hollow Crown, which if you have not played the game before, Brama is primarily a healing mage. Gex is also a healer with a little bit of card destruction, and Hollow Crown is a rather unique nemesis in that instead of having life, he has acolytes, and you have to destroy all of his acolytes in order to defeat the nemesis. You can't attack him directly. So before we dive into this video, I wanted to take a quick look at the market that we're using. We've got a random 3-gem, 2-relic, 4-spell market. You can see we've got Breach Ore, Recurring Jasper, and Unrefined Blaststone for our gems. So that's actually a pretty nice spread for Ether Generation. Ethereal Hand and Well of Energy are some higher cost relics, so we'll see if either of those ever actually gets bought. And then Fleeting Vision, Amplify Vision, Lava Tendril, and Wound Mender for our spells. I'm a little worried about our ability to deal damage with this market. If we can get Breach 3 or 4 open and be popping Wound Menders, which we've got the gems to do that'll help. But we don't really have a good 4 or 5 damage spell on the market there, which is usually a pretty nice one to have. So let's see how this goes. So we start off by drawing 2 acolytes from the acolyte deck. So we've got, Navkalas, something like that, where he will cause Gravehold to take damage if the blood magic effect takes effect. And we've got Holodran, who causes 2 different players to each suffer 1 damage if his blood magic effect takes effect. So they each start off with 11 life, and we draw the first turn order card. Nemesis goes first. So right off the bat, we've got Planar Collision. That is a power, 2 discard 2 prep spells, or an unleash twice when it comes through. So we'll put a couple of power tokens on that and see who's up next. Player 2. So Gex is player 2. Got a 5-card hand. We're going to go ahead and prep an open breach. The market that I've got set up over here is pretty heavy on healing, and both of my mages are healers, so I'm a little worried about what we're going to do offensively. I think Brahma's going to take that role for us. Gex is going to go a little bit more support, but then probably transition to some late-game defense. So with her 4 Ether to start with, we'll pick up a Recurring Jasper. That's an interesting card from the New Age that 2 Ether gain, but lets you keep cycling it through your deck as long as you've got a spell that you cast. So up next, Nemesis turn again, so we lose 1 token off of that, and we get another power. Spirit Cage. Power 3, got a discard ability to 2 discard a card that costs 5 or more. Unleash twice, any player discards a spell in hand if the power goes off. So it's probably going to be a little tricky to take care of before we hit the end of the game here, or before that power goes off. So Gex goes again. We'll go ahead and cast the Spark. I think I'm most worried about Holodran right now, so we'll take him down to 10. And then prep our Spark to a Breach again. And with our other 4, let's see, I think let's just buy a couple of charges for Gex. See if we can get some early game deck thinning to help us out. Got Recurring Jasper, Shattered Geode, and 3 crystals in her hand for next turn. And that means we got 2 Brama turns coming up. So even though Brahma's a healer, she actually has a fair bit of offensive potential, which is how I'm going to play her today. We'll prep her Buried Light, and with the other 4 crystals that she's got in her starting hand, we're going to focus Breach 4. And then on her second turn, we will cast Buried Light. Buried Light both deals 1 damage and gains us 1 Ether. So we have 3 crystals in hand and 2 sparks. The 3 crystals and the Ether from Buried Light will let us open our Breach 4. And we'll prep our 2 sparks down there. That's the first round. Getting that Breach 4 open early with Brama really helps her to deal quite a bit more damage than you'd expect initially from her ability and skill kit. And I think that's going to be helpful to us where we don't have very many high damage spells in the market. So Nemesis is up next, so I should have thought of that on Brama's turn to get rid of that power, but oh well. So we unleash twice. That means we resolve the blood magic effect of the Acolyte with the highest life. That is Navkalas. So his blood magic effect, Gravehold suffers 3 damage. This minion suffers 1 damage. So that'll take him down to 10, and Gravehold down to 27. And now we actually can choose which one we want to do. And I think we'll go ahead and do Holodran this time around. So 2 players each take 1 damage. That'll spread out our Gravehold and our player damage so that we keep ourselves a little more evenly balanced there. We lose a power token from Spirit Cage. And up next, Beseech. Oh, hey, that's actually pretty lucky on our part. You place the Acolyte in play with the lowest life on the bottom of the deck, and then we unleash. I think, and draw an Acolyte, of course. In this case, I think we'll put Holodron down there. We have our choice since they're both at 10, but that's actually pretty darn nice that came out so early, because we won't have to worry about losing too much damage on it. Lurzan is the next one up. The player with the lowest life suffers 1 damage. And that's his blood magic effect, and he is the one who will activate since he's the Acolyte with the highest life. So we again get to take our pick. We'll go ahead and have Brama take it. If we wind up having one of our mages get exhausted, Brama's got an extra breach to lose, so it's not as big of a deal. Up next, player 1, so that's Brama. Should have drawn her hand at the end of the last turn, but it doesn't really matter. So we will cast our 2 sparks for 3 damage, rather. That will take Navkalas down to 7. So at the moment, I'm thinking we can probably get rid of Navkalas before any more healing cards come out, most likely, since Beseech came up that early. So we'll give that a go. We'll prep Berry. I'm going to use 4 to buy an Amplify Vision. So Amplify Vision is a pretty interesting spell. It only does 2 damage to start with, but lets you start focusing your breaches. And then once all your breaches are open, it'll do 3. So with that and with Brahma's 4 breach open, we should be in pretty good shape when it comes to early minion control. Now up next, we've got Brama again. So we'll cast Buried Light. That'll do 2 damage to Navkalas, take him down to 5. And then we will prep our 2 sparks. And we've got 1 extra ether from Buried Light, plus the 3 in our hand. Gives us 4. I think we'll pick up a Recurring Jasper for Brama as well, so that she can get a little bit of economy going. And next turn we'll have 4 crystals and that Amplify Vision. Alright, that follows us up with Gex. So Gex will go ahead and cast her Spark, take Navkalas down to 4, and then we've got a Recurring Jasper for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and could actually be 7 if I wanted to take Brahma's Crystal with my Shattered Geode. I think I will just use that 6 for an Unrefined Blast Stone. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that'll work. That'll give us a pretty nice money hand coming up next time around. We'll have 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. I might... Yeah, no, that'll work. 4 crystals and a spark for that one there. Up next, Nemesis turn. We lose another token off of that guy. And we get our Afflict attack. So Unleash. Any player suffers 3 damage and may place a card in from their discard pile into their hand. So, who's got the better card we want to pick up? we could get Recurring Jasper there, or Brama could get an Unrefined. I think Brama will take, or excuse me, Gex is going to take Unrefined Blaststone into hand, because that will probably let us do the most interesting work here. So that means that Gex is then the one who well, I guess to start with, we do the Unleash. Lurzon is the highest life, so the player with the lowest life suffers 1 damage. That'll be Brama, take her down to 7. Gex then takes 3 from the bottom half of that attack. I forgot to show that one to you. And already took a card in hand. So that means Gex is up last. I'm losing track of my player cards here. So Gex will prep that out, and then we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other to deal with. I think we will do a real quick, open up our Breach 3 here. And we'll prep the Spark over there instead of on Breach 2, since we're opening that one up and get the extra damage. And, or actually, now that I think about it, it's probably better choice. Yeah, makes much more sense to discard our Unrefined Blaststone and get rid of that power, so that we don't have to worry about that double Unleash. And then with the 4 that we've got remaining, we'll get another pair of charges for Gex. Alright, and so we'll have a pretty good economy hand for her coming up next turn. Now, as long as we can get a Brama turn and a Gex turn in before the Nemesis looks into some more healing, we should be able to take out our first Acolyte. So 2 Sparks from Brama. We'll take Navkalas down to 1. We'll go ahead and prep our Amplify Vision. And with the 4 that we've got, we will... let's open up our Breach 2 so that Amplify Vision gets us a Breach 3 open quicker. Get a little more utility out of that spell. Next time up, we'll have our Recurring Jasper and our Buried Light again, so that'll work out nicely. Nemesis goes Throne Watch. So his persistent effect, he's a minion. Persistent effect is to resolve the blood magic effect of the Acolyte with the lowest life, and that Acolyte suffers 1 damage. We'll put him out there. And he goes again. So, well, that's convenient at least. So, Navkalas, Gravehold suffers 3 damage. This minion suffers 1 damage from Throne Watch's persistent effect. So that 1 damage doesn't actually do anything for us, but that gets rid of Navkalas. Gravehold takes another 3, down to 24. And we immediately bring out another Acolyte minion. We'll keep him over here. And we've got Solara. His effect is that any player discards 2 cards in hand. This minion suffers 3 damage. Nice. He's kind of a breather in the minion deck. You don't have to worry as much about him when he shows up. At least as long as you're particularly early game when you got a lot of junk, crystals, and sparks in hand. So Gex is going to be up next. We will cast a spark, if I can. And we will go ahead and do a damage to Lurzon. Take him down to 10. No, actually, let him spot so we can decide who to hit. We'll do the damage to Throne Watch and get him out of the game quicker. Prep our Spark. We got 2 from a Recurring Jasper, 3, 4, 5. Can't steal anything with the Shattered Geode, so that's too bad. I think we will go ahead and... let's see. Let's pick up our last charge And we'll wait a minute before we use that. We'll use 3 to focus our breach 3 with the other 3 that we've got. And I will go ahead and recurring Jasper, I can put it on top of my discard pile, or on top of my deck, as long as the top card of my discard pile is a spell. So I'll go ahead and do that so I can take advantage of that Ether again this next turn. Yeah, perfect. That's what I was hoping for. So we'll have 8 Ether next turn, which will let us pick up a Wound Mender. Up next, all right, Gex again. So we will Spark for 1, take Throne Watch down to 4, and then we've got 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to pick up a Wound Mender, which is a card from Into the Wild. It has Echo, which basically means that you cast it twice when you cast it. You resolve its cast effect twice. And so it will deal 2 damage, and then if it's cast from an open 3 or 4 breach, you gain a life. So what that means is that if we cast it from a 3 breach, we'll get 2 instances of 3 damage, and we'll get to gain 2 life from it. So that's a pretty slick spell. So we're able to afford it by stacking up our gems there. All right. Weaker hand for next time around, so she'd be a good target for Solara if we have a blood magic effect go. And Brama. So Brama's Amplify Vision will deal 3 damage. It focuses my 3 breach, since that's my only closed breach. 3 damage we will deal to Throne Watch, just about have him off the map. Prep our Buried Light. I've got 2, 3, 4, 5 Ether in hand. I think we will go ahead and use that to pick up, how about another Amplify Vision? That'll get our breach open pretty quick, as well as which will then let us do some more damage with those. And we'll go ahead and put that recurring Jasper back down on top of the deck. Okay. Shuffle our turn order deck up to see what happens next here. I just realized I gotta keep my acolytes separate there from their discard. Brahma's up next, so we'll cast a Buried Light. That actually will do 2 damage. So we wasted damage on the Throne Watch, but worth it to get him out of play. We get our extra Ether out of that, so we have 2, 3, 4, 5 Ether once again. Prep our 2 Sparks, and with the 5 Ether, I think let's just buy a couple of charges for Brama. I don't really want to waste money on the rest of on any other smaller cards for her. Be nice to get her a Wound Mender, and then she's probably pretty good. Maybe a Blast Stone for her as well. Okay. Up next, Nemesis. Uh-oh, that means I goofed. I forgot to draw a Nemesis card last time around. So we should have resolved the blood magic effect of each acolyte in play without those acolytes suffering damage from their blood magic effects. So missed that at the last time of last round, so we'll draw an extra card this time around. But we'll go ahead and do that real quick. I can't remember if it should have been Navkalos or not, but we'll just do Lurzan and Solaris instead of the ones that are out. So player with the lowest life suffers 1 damage. That would be Gex at this point in time. She's down to 5. And then any player discards 2 cards in hand. This minion suffers 3 damage. So obviously can't do that properly anymore since I don't know what I had in hand at that point in time. But we'll go ahead and get rid of... let's do a crystal and... yeah, we'll do the 2 crystals off of Gex. And that will... won't do the 3 damage to Solara from that one, since that's what the attack card says. And we'll draw another card, because we should have been into Tier 2 at this point. Okay, another attack. Unleash. The Acolyte with the lowest life gains 10 life. Resolve that Acolyte's blood magic effect. So that's actually very convenient. They're both at full life right now. So we can pick which one we want. I think we will, we'll go ahead and do Solara for this one. So any player discards 2 cards in hand. This will just be kind of a wasted turn for Gex, I guess. We'll get rid of her. Must we? 2, 4. Yeah, we'll let Gex get another charge. We'll discard 2 crystals from Brama. And then Solara takes 3 damage, goes down to 8. Now, up next, Brama. Actually, we're only going to cast one of those. We're going to cast that one for 2. We're at the point where we're starting to get some bigger spells in Brama's deck that we'd like to cycle a little bit more frequently. So we'll leave that Spark prepped so we don't have to deal with that. Use our Recurring Jasper back on the deck since the Spark's on there by a charge. There we go. Now, up next, Nemesis again. Another attack. Unleash twice. Gravehold suffers 2 damage. I'm just going to do the 2 damage to Gravehold first before I forget about it. Blood magic effect of the Acolyte with the highest life is Lurzon. The player with the lowest life suffers 1 damage. So we resolve that twice. That takes Gex down to 3. That will then take us to Gex's turn. So Gex is going to go ahead and pop her ability. So I get to destroy up to 2 cards in my discard pile that cost 0. That's those 2 crystals that I discarded earlier. We'll destroy those. And any ally draws 1 card and gains 2 life. So that will allow Brama to draw a card. Perfect, that's exactly what we wanted. And gain 2 life, puts her back up to 9. And then Gex will prep a Spark, use 2 to charge up. And actually, we'll go... no, we don't do that. 2 to gain a charge. So on Gex's turn again, so we will cast our Spark to do 1 damage to Lurzon, and then we've got Unrefined Blaststone for 3, Recurring Jasper for 5, Crystal for 6, so we'll go ahead and use 5 to open up our Breach 3, and prep our Wound Mender on there, and our Spark over here. And that Wound Mender should get Gex back up to a healthy life total pretty quick, as well as starting to deal some pretty impressive damage. Okay. Up next is Gex. Perfect. So we're going to cast Wound Mender first, so it comes back up quicker. That'll do 2 instances of 3 damage. So that is actually enough to just kill Solara, though I don't actually think we want to do that. Let's go ahead and do the 6 damage to Lurzon, which takes him to 4. 1 more damage will take him down to 3. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with a Shattered Geode. That will let us, let's see, we'll go ahead and buy 2 more charges with that, and we can pick up Brahma's Spark so that we can thin her deck out a little bit for her. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, it gets our Wound Mender back to us right away. That's what we like to see. Up next, Brama. So Brama is going to go ahead and cast our Amplify Vision here for 3 damage, since it's on a 4 breach. That focuses our Breach 3 for us. 3 damage, we'll take out Lurzon. Bring Rengoda into play. So Rengoda, blood magic is any player suffers 2 damage, or any player suffers 1 damage and discards their most expensive card in hand. And then, let's see, we got another 2 damage from another Amplify Vision and a focusing of Breach 3. We'll go ahead and put that on. Solara is kind of one of those where I usually don't mind discarding the 2 cards. There's usually a mage that'll do it. So since he's on a 6 health, he's going to kill himself in 2 more activations. So we'll just mostly let that happen. And 1 more damage from the Spark. Do I need that? No, I don't need that from the Spark. So we'll keep that there. We will prep the Buried Light. And then we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to use that to buy an Unrefined Blaststone for Brama, give her a little higher economy. And we'll put the Recurring Jasper back on top of our deck. Up next is the Nemesis turn. So, we don't have anything in play. Okay, Mutilate and attack. We get an Unleash. So first of all, Unleash, resolve the blood magic effect of the Acolyte with the highest life. That's Rengoda. Somebody either takes 2 damage or takes 1 damage and discards the most expensive card in hand. I think Brama can afford the 2 damage, so let Brama take 2. And then players collectively discard 2 prep spells. Any player suffers 2 damage. So Brahma's our only one with prep spells, so they both get discarded, and we will have Brahma take that 2 damage. Oh, and you know what? I completely forgot last time around when I cast Woundmender, I should have gotten 2 more health on Gex there, so we'll fix that now. Gotta keep my Acolyte straight. Another Nemesis turn. We get Baneful Crux. So to discard 2 cards in hand that cost 4 ether or more. Power 2, unleash twice. Gravehold suffers 3 damage. And player 2, Gex, will prep our Woundmender again. Prep our Spark again. We've got an Unrefined Blaststone, a Recurring Jasper, and a Crystal. That is 6 ether. We'll go ahead and I don't think there's anything we really want to buy right now, so we will just charge back up for 2, and we'll waste that last 2 ether. Ooh, actually no, I take that back. Instead of 2 charges, an Ethereal Hand would be good for Gex. Get some more deck cycling. For Brahma, rather. Okay. Up next, Brama. So Brama, we've got an Amplify Vision that will prep to our 4 Breach, and 2, 3, 4, 5 Ether. We will... I don't know if there's much that we want right now. Yeah, I guess we'll open up our... well, no, we're going to get that with the Amplify Vision, so we'll just buy 2 charges, and may as well pop our ability to take Brahma back up to 9, I suppose, since Gex is about to be back at 7. Okay. Nemesis turn. We lose our Baneful, or power token off a Baneful Crux. We get Aphotic Sun out. So got a 2 discard, spend 7. Power to unleash. The player with the most charges suffers 3 damage and loses all of their charges. So that'll be... Suddenly doubting myself on if Baneful Crux should have just gone off this turn. I can't remember now if I forgot to take a... No, I don't think so. Okay. Anyway, so that's Nemesis' turn, followed by player 1. So we can, in fact, and I think we will go ahead, we'll cast our Amplify Vision. We focus our Closed Breach with the lowest focus cost. That opens our Breach 3. Now all of our breaches are opened, so we get to deal 1 additional damage. So that's 2 plus 1 plus 1 is 4 damage. We will go ahead and deal that to Rengoda, take him down to 5. And I think we will go ahead and we'll discard our Blast Stone and our Amplify Vision in hand to get rid of Baneful Crux before it goes off. And then with the 3 other we've got left, we'll just buy a charge. Okay. Brama again. So we got Prep our Buried Light, Prep our Spark, Recurring Jasper, and 2 crystals. We got 4 other. At this point, we're just going to be buying charges. If we can pick up a Wound Mender for Brama, that'd be good, but otherwise it's ability time. Okay. We will... Gex is up next. So Wound Mender is going to heal us for 2, back up to 7. Do a total of 6 damage coming from our 3 breach. That will go ahead and take out Rengoda. Draw a replacement Acolyte. Excuse me. Edris Trag. Blood magic effect. If any player suffers 2 damage, then if that player has 5 life or less, this minion suffers 2 damage. He is a particularly nasty one, so it would be nice to get him down pretty quickly. We'll go ahead and spark him for 1, take him down to 10. Prep our 2 sparks, and let's see, I got Shattered Geode, Crystal, Crystal. We will go ahead and place the top card of any ally's discard pile into our hand. Grab that crystal from Brama. That 4 will buy us 2 more charges, which we will pop to destroy a crystal and a spark from our discard pile. And that allows Brama to draw a card and gain 2 life, puts her back up to 10. Nemesis turn. Use a token off of there. Infernal Domain. So to discard, spend 8. Power 2. Draw an Acolyte. Resolve the blood magic effect of each Acolyte in play without those Acolytes suffering damage from their blood magic effects. That one's not actually as bad in this mode, where if you wind up with 3 Acolytes in play, it lets you do a little bit more, or you're less likely to have an Acolyte that's doing damage to you that you really don't want. So... Up next, player 2 will spark for 3 damage. Take that off a Trag, get him down to 7. Oh, forgot to draw, so need to do that. And we've got a pretty good money hand here. So 3, 5, 6, 7. So not quite 8, which is too bad, but we can still use Ethereal Hand, and we'll that'll let Brama draw 2 cards, so she gets 1, 2. Then The remaining 7 we've got, we'll go ahead and use that to get rid of Aphotic Sun. So we don't have to worry about that power. And that'll be it. We'll go ahead and put our Recurring Jasper on top of the deck on the off chance that we can get our 8 Ether back, although I don't think that's going to happen without some extra help. Okay. Then... Nemesis is up next, so we get rid of a power token. Ooh, and the Mage Ender comes out. So Mage Ender is a persistent effect. The player with the most opened breaches suffers 2 damage. So there is no if, and, or but about it. Brama will be taking 2 damage from him every time. Even if I wanted to try and get Gex's 4 open, I wouldn't be able to in time to... she only has 3 breaches, so there's no possible way for her to be up there. Player 2 goes next, so we'll get Gex's Woundbender out. I've got 2, 3, 4, 5. Could turn that into 6 with a crystal stolen from Brama. I think that makes sense. We'll take the crystal that we will buy 3 charges with. Okay, I don't think we're going to be able to do anything about Infernal Domain, but we'll see. I haven't actually looked at Brahma's hand recently. Oh, doesn't matter. So Infernal Domain goes off. We draw an Acolyte, put it into play, resolve the blood magic effect of each Acolyte in play without those Acolytes suffering damage from their blood magic effects. So any player discards 2 cards in hand. Let's see, getting rid of 2 sparks actually seems like it might be a really good idea over there. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, no, we definitely don't want to do that on Brama. So, yeah, we'll get rid of my 2 sparks. That'll let me finish charging up and destroy those on my next Gex turn. And they don't take damage, so Solara doesn't take any damage. Edris Trag, any player suffers 2 damage. Then if that player has 5 life or less, this minion suffers 2 damage. I think we will actually do that to... yeah, we'll do that to Gex. And Kurgax, Gravehold suffers 1 damage, any player suffers 1. We'll take Brahma down to 9, and Gravehold then goes down to 21. So that's that. Mage Ender goes off. Player with the most open breaches suffers 2 damage. That's Brahma. And we draw our next card, Rain. Resolve the blood magic effect of the Acolyte with the most life. That Acolyte suffers 6 damage. Unleash twice. So Acolyte with the most life is Kurgax. So Gravehold takes 2 damage for him going twice, down to 19. And... any player can take... Whoa, that was wrong. I should have gone... 1. Yeah, so you should be at 7, not 2. I must have bumped that one. Any player suffers 1 damage, or any combination of players does. I think, yeah, we'll go ahead and take Brahma down to 6. We'll take Gex down to 4. Then we unleash, or that Acolyte suffers 6 damage, so Kurgax goes down to 5. Then we unleash twice, so, okay, that'll be Edris Trag. So any player suffers 2 damage. We will go ahead and have Gex take that down to 2. If that player has 5 life or less, this minion suffers 2 damage. That takes him down to 5. And that puts us to where Solara is now the highest health minion. So for the second unleash, any player discards 2 cards in hand. That's a little bit of a bummer. I guess we will go ahead and discard our Blast Stone and our Crystal from Gex for that one. And then this minion suffers 3 damage. Solara's down to 3. Okay. Player 2, that is Gex. We'll cast our Wound Mender. That does a total of 6 damage, brings Gex back up to 4. Wound Mender, so 6 damage. That will let us... I think we'll knock out Edris Trag. Take him out, which brings... I guess I should try to keep the minions in the order that they came out, because they should technically trigger in that order. At least we're in effect. So Bezu comes out, his Blood Magic. Gravehold and this minion suffer 1 damage for each spell prepped by the player with the most prep spells. So that's actually a pretty good one. Gravehold is looking pretty healthy right now. Then we will play our Ethereal Hand, which allows Brama to draw 2 cards. We actually have our entire deck in our hand at this point in time for Brama. So good for us. Up next is Brama, who ought to be able to do something this round. We'll cast Buried Light and our Spark for a total of 4 damage. That will take, I think, Mage Ender down to 5. Let's do that. I'm going to get Mage Ender out of the picture here. We'll prep our 2 Amplify Visions. We will... Actually, now that I say that, so I got 2 Amplify Visions. Those are both going to do 8 damage total. So, no, we don't actually want to do our 3 damage here. We'll keep, or our 4 damage here. We'll do 2 damage to him, take him down to 7, and then we'll do 2 damage to, let's do 2 damage to Kurgax. Work on getting him out of here. Because our 2 Amplify Visions will be able to take out the Mage Ender on Brahma's next turn. And then we've got 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 Ether from our Buried Light. That will buy us a Wound Mender. And I've managed to once again bump my charges there. I believe I had 2, so we'll just pick up a charge with the last 3 Ether there. Okay. And yep, we go again. So 2 Amplify Visions, deal a total of 8 damage. That'll take care of the Mage Ender. And then we've got a Wound Mender that we'll prep up here. We'll put a Spark over there. Buried Light here. We get 3, 5. I don't think we actually... So we'll just buy a charge for 2, and then we'll use the alternate for Unrefined Blaststone. Destroy a card in this card's supply pile. So we'll destroy an Unrefined Blaststone. If you do, deal 3 damage. That'll take care of Kurgax for us. So we'll get another Acolyte out here. That ends our turn. I don't think we need the recurring Jasper at this point. We're not in particularly dire straits for health, so I'd rather cycle the spells faster. Alright, Brahma's up again. Forgot to draw my hand last time around. Handful of crystals, that's great. So we will go ahead and cast Wound Mender, which will take Brahma back up to 8 and deals 2 instances of 3 damage. So we will go ahead and take both Mord and Bezu down to 8. It's kind of convenient to be able to do that so that if they can stay even, although now we're going to take one down lower with Buried Light, I suppose, so it doesn't really make a difference. Let's see. Yeah, no, we'll keep Mord around. Keep him at 11. His blood magic isn't too bad. It's either Gravehold suffers 3 damage, or any player loses a charge. Gravehold and this minion suffers 1 damage. So we got a whole bunch of charges that we don't desperately need that we can use him there. So we'll do 6 damage to Bezu, which would then take him down to 5, since we already took 3 off. And 2 more damage from Buried Light would take him to 3. And I don't think, yeah, no, we'll hold on to that other spark for now. So then we've got a total of 6 ether remaining because we had 1 from Buried Light. We'll go ahead and charge up for 2 by 2 more charges, and that'll take Gex back up to 8. I honestly wish I had something better to do with that other than heal things, because I don't think that's really what we need right now, but you work with what you got. Okay. Nemesis is up. We've got our first card at Tier 3. Power 1 to discard, spend 8. Shuffle the 2 most recently discarded Acolytes in the Acolyte discard pile into the Acolyte deck. Oh boy. Resolve the blood magic effect of each Acolyte in play without those Acolytes suffering damage from their blood magic effects. Well, that is not a happy thing. We'll see if we can't avoid that. Up next is Gex, so that might give us a shot. Gex only has 6 ether in hand, which is not enough, and sadly doesn't have a card we could steal from Brama with our Shattered Geode to take care of it. But with our 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we'll go ahead and use 2 or 4 of that ether to buy 2 more charges, pop Gex's ability. We'll go ahead and get rid of a crystal and a spark, destroy those back here. Brama heals back up to 10 and gets to draw a card. Ah, bummer. I guess, yeah, there wasn't anything that was going to get us up to 8 on that one. So, with that, we will... I guess we can't drop our... Yeah, so we can't use our Recurring Jasper since there's not a spell on top of our discard pile. Nemesis up next, so Nameless Faith goes off. So we shuffle the 2 most recently discarded Acolytes into the Acolyte deck. Resolve the blood magic effect of each Acolyte in play without those Acolytes suffering damage. Okay, so any player discards 2 cards in hand. Yeah, we'll get rid of 2 crystals from Gex. Forgot on Gex's turn I had, I think, 1 more charge out of that from the 6 other I spent there. Then Gravehold and this minion suffer 1 damage. So Gravehold takes 1 damage because we've got 1 spark prepped. And Mord, we will have Brama lose a charge. Mord, Gravehold suffers 1 more damage, and then Mord would suffer damage, but does not. And our next Tier 3 card, an attack. Resolve the most recently discarded attack card in the Nemesis discard pile. So that will be Rain. Resolve the blood magic effect of the Acolyte with the most life. That Acolyte suffers 6 damage, unleash twice. So Mord, we will, Brahma will lose another charge. So Gravehold suffers that one. Mord suffers 1 damage, and then Mord suffers, 6 damage, I believe, right? Mord suffers 6 damage after that, so he's down to 4. And then we unleash twice. Unleash twice. So Mord is actually still at the top. We'll conveniently lose 1 charge from Gex. That will let Gravehold suffer 1 damage, and Mord suffer 1 damage. So he's down to 3. And now everybody's tied at 3 health. So we will... Who do we want? I think Bezu actually is probably a pretty good choice at this point, unless we've got cards to discard. Yeah, no, I think we want to hang on to most of those. So yeah, Bezu will go ahead. Gravehold suffers 1 damage, and Bezu suffers 1 damage since we have that 1 spark prepped. Player 1, Brahma's turn. I do have 4 spells in hand, so I'm going to go ahead and cast that spark for 1. We'll deal 1 damage. Actually, we'll deal 1 damage to Mord. Take him down to 2. Um, does that make sense? I guess that doesn't really make sense. We'll do 1 damage to Bezu, bank on being able to knock him out before he goes. And hopefully Bezu doesn't go, because this would be an expensive round to have him go on with 4 spells prepped. We'll use Unrefined Blaststone. That will destroy a card in the spell pile, deal 3 damage. That will take out Mord. Then we'll draw new Acolyte. Edris Trag, we've seen him before. Any player suffers 2 damage, then if that player has 5 life or less, this minion suffers 2. And a recurring Jasper will just buy a charge. And Gex gets to go prep a Wound Mender and a Spark, use an Undefined Blaststone, destroy a copy of that, and I think, let's see, I guess player damage doesn't really bother us, so yeah, we will go ahead and take Edris Trag down to 8. Now, it would be really handy if we could get a Brama turn to start this one off. That would let us clear out most of these. Nope, no dice. Viscera Bride. Ooh. Okay. Actually, we need a bigger dice for her. So Viscera Bride is Hollow Crown's unique minion. And her persistent is that the Acolyte with the lowest life gains 10 life. Resolve that Acolyte's blood magic effect twice. So, you gotta kind of think here what we want to do. She will heal Acolytes to full health every time she goes, so we're really hoping that we don't get another Nemesis turn here. Player 2, good. That'll help us out. So I think we want 1 damage. Well, we'll cast the Wound Mender first. That'll deal a total of 6 damage. And take Gex back up to 10. So that's 6 damage. Are we going for the Viscera Bride, or are we just things? I think let's just start knocking out these Acolytes to start with. So Solara, he takes a hit with 3 of that damage. 3 of the damage will go on to Edris. Well, I guess I should first see who comes out next. So Kurgax comes out next. Gravehold suffers 1 damage. Any player suffers 1 damage. Yeah, it's okay. So we'll do... Actually, no, we will do 3 damage to him, because that will put him and Edris Trag at the same health. So we can minimize the healing that would come from Viscera Bride. And then our Spark for 1 damage will take out Bezu. And then we'll have to decide if we think we want to try and deal with the Viscera Bride, or if we think we can just knock out the Acolytes without having to worry about her healing. Some of that's going to depend on the turn order draws here. Okay, player 1. So we can do a total of 6, 10, 13, 14 damage. So I think we will go ahead and do 8 damage. So that'll be 4 damage from Amplify Vision, 3 damage from Amplify Vision, 1 damage from Buried Light. I prefer to do that differently, but I think that's what makes sense for now. Get rid of Edris Trag. Oh, actually, I completely forgot. We should still have 3 Acolytes out here. Forgot to put one out when we knocked him out on Gex's turn. So let's rethink that, knowing what we know now about who's in play. I think, yeah, we'll still do that. But we can start off with our Wound Mender then, since we know who else is out here. So Wound Mender will deal 6 damage. No life gain matters at this point, so we will do 6 damage to Holodran, take him down to 5. And then we'll do 8 damage, like we said earlier, to Edris Trag. That will knock him out, and we're down to 2 Acolytes and the Viscera Bride left. Then we're going to heal up Holodran. Player 2 goes... Oh, I'm sorry, I completely forgot. Brama's got 5 crystals. We'll just buy 2 more charges with that. Draw her back up. Yep. Okay, Gex goes. Let Ethereal Hand. We'll let Brama draw 2 cards. And then 2, 3, 4, 5. That'll buy me 2 more charges. That's Gex's turn. Nemesis turn, so Viscera Bride goes. Acolyte with the lowest life gains 10 life, so that takes Holodran back up to 11. Resolve the blood magic effect twice. 2 different players each suffer 1 damage, so that takes both of these Gex and Brama down to 8. And Throttle, unleash twice. Any player destroys their 3 most expensive cards in hand. So Holodran gets the unleash twice. That takes us both down to 6. If I can find it, there we go. And any player destroys their 3 most expensive cards in hand. Oof. That is rough on either one. I think we will have Gex ditch the Wound Mender at Blaststone and the Crystal. Since Brama had a little bit of a better hand going. And Brahma's up next. We get to prep some big damage. Actually, I have a little bit too much going on here. Put our Buried Light out. Got a Spark in hand that we won't be able to deal with. So our Unrefined Blaststone, we will go ahead and destroy another one in the supply pile. Play our Jasper for 2. That'll take Holodran down to 8 and give us a choice when the Nemesis goes next time around. And player 2 up next. Gex is going, 2 crystals in hand. She'll buy a charge. Okay. I don't know that Gex is going to be able to do much for us here the rest of the game. And Gex again. We'll prep her Spark. Ethereal Hand. So Brama should have already had 4 cards. Ethereal Hand lets her draw 2 more. So we draw up to 7. Okay. And then Gex has 2, 3, 4. We're going to go ahead and buy a Lava Tendril with that one. Get a little bit more damage back in our deck now that we lost our Wound Mender. Gex's deck is nice and thin here, so we actually get to draw that one immediately and use it next turn. Up next, Nemesis. So we will have... I guess, yeah, we'll heal Holodran back up again. So he's up to 11. And then we resolve his blood magic effect twice. So that takes us down to 4 and 4. Then we draw Monstrosity of Omens. He's not too bad. Gravehold suffers damage equal to this minion's current life. I think we'll be okay with him out there. If we have a little bit of extra damage, we will probably start pinging him instead of one of the minion acolytes. Yeah, alright. So, we will go ahead and, how do we want to do this? So we've got 8 damage again here, which is just enough to kill Kurgax. Have we already had 2 Nemesis turns this time around? I think no, we haven't. So the Nemesis is going again, and we're not going to have enough damage in hand to... Oh, well, I guess I have a Blast Stone, so I can get 3 more out of that. What can we... No, so we can't quite get there. But if I win... Alright, so that's... no, we'll... Well, anyway, we're going to do a Wound Mender. Gets us a 50-50 shot at... No, I think we'll do a Wound Mender. We'll take Monstrosity of Omens down to 3, just minimize our Gravehold damage. And then we'll do 4, 7, 8 to take out Kurgax. All we've got left is Holodran. And what I was debating about is I have a Blast Stone in hand that I could use, which I will go ahead and use to destroy the last Unrefined Blast Stone in the supply, take Monstrosity down to 2. I'm back up to 6, thanks to my Wound Mender. And then I've got still 2, 4, 5 Ether in hand, prep a Spark. So that lets me charge that up and pop it by 1 more charge. That heals Gex up to 8. And who do we got? Nemesis. So yeah, I'm glad I made the choice I did there. So Holodran's already at full health, but we resolve his effect twice. That takes Brama back to 4, Gex down to 6. Then Monstrosity of Omens. Gravehold takes 2 damage for its current life. And we get Withering Beam, power 2. Unleash twice, the players collectively destroy the 2 most expensive prepped spells. And then Brama will go next. So we got 2 damage here. We'll go ahead and do that to the Monstrosity of Omens. Takes him down 1. So Monstrosity of Omens reduces all damage dealt to him to 1, which is why we've been dealing significant amounts of damage to him and not doing anything. But practically, as long as we don't get a double Nemesis turn next time, before Brama goes, we will have more than the 11 damage needed to kill Holodran. So I'm trying not to waste the damage by doing it with the Monstrosity of Omens there. And if we don't manage to do that, then having Monstrosity of Omens down to 11 will double the amount of Gravehold hits that we can take from him. And give us a little more time if we do get unlucky and get our nice spells destroyed here. Okay, so we'll Spark for 2. That'll go ahead and take Monstrosity of Omens out of play. Then we will prep our Lava Tendril. Ethereal Hand lets Brama draw 2 cards. So that's 1, 2. And then with the remaining 3 Ether that we've got, we'll buy a charge. Okay, and Nemesis turn, so we lose token off of that. We unleash, or not unleash twice, we do Blood Magic twice here. That takes Brama to 2, Gex to 4. Then, sorry, I almost forgot. Got to draw my Cataclysmic Fate. to discard, destroy a prep spell that costs 5 or more, and the breach in which it was prepped. That's nasty. Or power 1, the player with the lowest life suffers 4 damage. So we are actually now into a turn order draw at this point in time. We need not a Nemesis turn. There we go. Brama's turn. So that makes it easy. We will Wound Mender for 6, brings us back up to 4, takes Holocron down to 5, 4 damage from Amplify Vision, takes him to 1, and a Buried Light knocks him out. And that's that. We have successfully defeated Hollow Crown. So hope that was interesting to anybody who was watching. Have a good night.